You walk into the hen shed at feeding time with the scoop in your hand, and there is one of them not eating. The rest are at the trough. 14 birds, heads down and tails up, shoving each other sideways, beaks going on galvanized metal like rain on a tin roof. The big brown one stood in the dish itself with both feet, and her, against the boards at the dark end where the light does not reach, tail down. Feathers held loose, so she looks bigger and softer than she should. Eyes half shut. A full trough 6 feet away, and she does not want it. You have got about 48 hours. That is not me being dramatic. From the moment a hen stops eating, that is roughly the window where this is still something you can fix yourself, standing in your own back kitchen, with things you already own. After that, it stops being that. So do not go in and open the laptop. In the next 10 minutes, you're going to put 2 hands on that bird, and she is going to tell you exactly what is wrong with her. It is not a mystery. It never was. You do not need a vet on the telephone tonight. You do not need a £100 consultation for a bird worth 12. You do not need a wormer or a tonic or a plastic tub of yellow powder off the internet with a photograph of a cockerel on the lid. You do not need to sit up until midnight reading forum posts written by people who have never held a hen. And you do not need to wait and see, which is what nearly everybody does, and it is the thing that kills more hens in this country than every disease on the list. You need your hands, and you need to know what you are feeling for. My name is Angus Douglas. I am a shepherd on the west coast of Scotland. On ground my family has worked for 5 generations. 340 ewes on the hill above the house, 41 lambings. The nearest veterinary practice that will come out to me is 90 minutes away, and there are mornings in February when the road along the loch is under 6 inches of running water, and it may as well be on the moon. I keep about 20 hens. My grandmother kept 60, in the long stone shed with the tin roof that is still standing behind the byre, and I have not called a vet out for a hen off her feed in 19 years. That is not because I am careless. You will hear me tell you 3 separate times in this video to lift the telephone, and I will tell you exactly which 3. It is because in 19 years of putting my hands on birds that stopped eating, the answer has nearly always been something I could reach with a bucket, a bag of stones, or 20 minutes and a cardboard box in the back kitchen. My hands are not what they were. 41 winters of frozen gate chains and fencing wire and a dog lead in the same 2 fingers. The knuckles have gone thick, and the left thumb does not straighten. My wife says I hold a hen like a man carrying a hot dish across a kitchen, and she is not wrong. But a hen does not care whether your hands are pretty. She cares that they are warm and that they know where to go. Now here is the part that will annoy some people, and I am going to say it anyway. Most vets are not poultry vet. That is not an insult. It is a fact about how the profession is built. The practice down the road is a mixed practice, and mixed means cattle, sheep, horses, dogs, and cats. A hen on that steel table is a rarity. Some of them see 4 or 5 in a year. Some see none at all. You will pay the call out, you will pay the consultation, and an honest one will tell you plainly that a bird is outside their day-to-day work. The best poultry vets in this country are excellent and worth every penny of what they charge, and there are not very many of them. And unless you live near one, that is not who is coming out to you. And there is a second thing, and almost nobody explains it before they take your money. In law, a hen is a food animal. She lays eggs that you eat. That means the rules on what can be given to her are strict, and a great deal of what a vet would reach for with a dog cannot be given to a laying hen at all, or cannot be given without an egg withdrawal that runs for weeks. So part of what you imagined you were paying for is not on the table regardless of who is holding the bird. None of that means a vet is useless. It means the vet is for a narrow set of things. You should know which set, and nobody has ever sat you down and told you. So I am going to. 20 reasons a hen goes off her feed, every one of them, and for each one I will tell you plainly whether it is yours to handle or whether it is a telephone call. But before any of that, I have to change what you are looking at. Because if you are standing in that doorway watching the feeder, you are watching the wrong thing. Here is the principle, and everything after this hangs off it. Do not watch the feeder. Watch the crop. The feeder lies to you. The level goes down overnight. and you assume they all ate, and you have no idea which ones. The bird in the corner may not have had a beakful in 2 days, and that trough will look exactly the same to you in the morning. She can stand at a full feeder and eat nothing, and from 10 feet away, in poor light, with 14 other birds moving about, you will never once see it. The crop does not lie. The crop is a pouch at the base of her neck, at the front, sitting slightly over to her right side. It is where everything she eats goes first. She has no teeth. She swallows whole, a grain of wheat, a beetle, a whole worm, a chip of gravel, and it all drops into that pouch and waits. Overnight it passes down into the gizzard, which is a thick muscular grinder about the size of a walnut, packed with small sharp stones she has swallowed on purpose, and that gizzard crushes and grinds the way teeth do in you and me. So the crop is a record of the day. Full at dusk means she ate. Empty at dawn means it moved through her the way it should. 2 hands, 12 hours apart, no money, nothing to buy. My grandfather called it reading the pouch. He did it every night of his life. Out the back door at dusk, with a black rubber torch held in his teeth because both hands were busy. Across the yard, in through the low door of that stone shed. And he would lift 2 or 3 birds off the perch at random and put a hand on the front of each neck and set them back down. 90 seconds. Then he shut the pop hole and came in for his tea. He never owned a book about hens. He could not have told you the word gizzard. And he could tell you on a Tuesday night that the speckled one would be dead by Friday if somebody did not do something. And he was right more often than any diagnosis I have paid for since. Here is how you do it. At dusk, after they have gone up to roost, take the torch out and lift the bird gently off the perch with one hand under her breast. Put the flat of your other hand on the front of her neck at the very bottom, just above where the breast begins, slightly to your left as you are facing her, which is her right side. You are feeling for a soft bulge about the size of a tangerine. Full, firm, giving slightly under the fingers, like a small beanbag. Not hard, not tight as a drum, full. Then in the morning, before you open up, before you feed, you go back and feel the same place on the same bird. It should be flat, empty, you should barely be able to find it at all. 3 outcomes, every one of the 20 lives underneath one of them. 1. Full at dusk and still full at dawn. She is eating and it is not moving. That is a blockage, and that is the fast one. 2. Empty at dusk. She genuinely is not eating, and this splits in half, and the halves matter more than anything else in this video. Either she is being prevented from eating, or she is too ill to want to. 3. Full, but soft and sloshy, like a small water balloon under the skin. And when you bring her up near your face, her breath is sour and yeasty. That is a third thing entirely, and I will come to it. Now, before I take you through the 20, I owe you an honest word about the number I put on the front of this video. 48 hours is not a rule. I put it there because it is roughly true, and because it is honest about urgency. But it is dishonest about biology, and I am not going to leave that sitting. A hen in full lay with a blocked crop and no water can be gone in 20 hours. She has a small body and a fast heart, and she is pouring everything she has into an egg. 20 hours. That is the bad end of it. And at the other end, a hen halfway through a hard October moult, standing there half bald with pin feathers coming through her neck like porcupine quills, can go 4 or 5 days barely eating and be entirely right. So take 48 hours as a reason to walk out there tonight with a torch instead of waiting until Saturday. That is what the number is for. Right. 20. The first 5 are your full crop at dawn. She ate, it has not moved, and the clock is running. 1. Impacted crop. Picture the bird. She is standing hunched with her neck pulled in, and when you lift her, there is a hard lump the size of a small orange sitting at the base of her throat, and it does not give when you press it. It feels like a cricket ball wrapped in skin. Some of them are lumpy and knotted rather than smooth. What did it? Long fibrous stuff wound into a mass that will not pass. Long spring grass is the great offender. So is straw bedding. So is wood shavings. So is the long dead yellow grass under a hedge in a wet autumn. What you do, take her off feed completely for 12 hours, water only, so nothing new goes in on top of it. Then, several times a day, massage that crop. Flat fingers, gentle circles, 2 or 3 minutes at a time, working the mass apart from the outside. A teaspoon of olive oil down her first with a plastic syringe. No needle, helps it move. Then water only again. Most impactions clear in a day or two of this. And here is the mistake you must not make. Do not turn the hen upside down. It is the most repeated piece of advice about hens on the internet, and it kills birds. When you invert her, the wet contents of that crop run straight into her airway, and she drowns standing in your hands in under a minute, and there is nothing you can do about it once it starts. There is no safe version of it in a kitchen. Nobody who has watched it happen ever recommends it again. If a hard impaction has not shifted after 2 full days of oil and massage and water only, that is telephone call number 1. Surgery on a crop is a real procedure. It is not expensive as these things go, and a bird can come through it well and live years. 2. No grit. I want you to hear this one properly, because it is the most common cause of a back garden hen doing badly in this country, and there is an entire aisle in the agricultural supplier selling you the answer to a different question. A hen has no teeth. The gizzard does the grinding, and the gizzard can only grind if there are stones inside it. She picks them up herself off the ground. Flint, quartz, sharp grit, whatever is under her feet. Now look at where your birds actually live. A mown lawn, a concrete slab, a run floored with 6 inches of soft wood shavings on a plastic base. There is not one hard stone in any of it. So the gizzard goes soft and slack and empty, and she eats and nothing gets ground down, and she goes off her feed because she is full of food she cannot use. Here is the thing that is done to you. 2 bags sit side by side on that shelf. Both have a hen on the front. One is oyster shell and one is flint grit, and they look almost identical. Oyster shell is not grit. Oyster shell is calcium. It is soluble. It dissolves inside her, and it is for eggshell quality, and it will not grind a single grain of wheat. What you need is insoluble flint grit, and it is a few pounds a bag, and a bag lasts a small flock a year. Put it in its own separate dish, free choice, never mixed through the feed, and let her take what she needs. I stood behind a man at a till who was buying a tub of poultry tonic at £19 because his birds were listless, and he had walked straight past the flint grit at £4 on his way to the counter. That is the trade in one sentence. There is money in a supplement. There is no money in a stone. Handle yourself. All of it. 3. Sour crop. This is outcome 3 from the check. You lift her, and the crop is full, but it moves under your fingers like a balloon half full of water, and when you bring her up close, her breath smells foul and sweet and yeasty at the same time, like bread dough gone off in a warm kitchen. Some birds will have a wet, dirty patch on the feathers at the front of the neck, where it has come back up. It is a yeast overgrowth, and it usually sits on top of something else, an impaction underneath it, or a course of antibiotics, or a bird that has been quietly wrong for a fortnight. Now, I need to correct something you have almost certainly read, and I am correcting it against my own interest, because it is the cheap answer, and I would far rather give you a cheap answer. Apple cider vinegar does not cure sour crop. It is in every forum reply in the English language. A splash in the drinker at ordinary times does no harm, and may keep the water sweeter, and it will not touch an established yeast overgrowth in a crop. If you spend 3 days putting vinegar in a plastic drinker while a bird with sour crop goes downhill in the corner, you have spent the 3 days and bought nothing. What actually helps? Off feed, water only, 12 hours, gentle massage to break it up. Take the deep bedding away so she cannot fill herself again on shavings. Half a teaspoon of plain, live, natural yogurt twice a day to put competing organisms back in. And if it has not turned in 2 or 3 days, that is telephone call number 2, because the thing that reliably clears it is an antifungal. You cannot buy it over a counter, and a vet can prescribe it for a laying hen with an egg withdrawal attached. 4. Pendulous crop, an older bird, usually one that has had a bad impaction sometime in the past. The crop has been stretched so far that the muscle no longer empties it properly, and it hangs. You will see it swinging low at the front of her chest as she walks across the yard. This one you do not cure. You manage it. Small feeds. No long grass ever. no deep straw. Some folk make a wee sling out of a stretch bandage that lifts the crop and gives it a chance to drain. She can live years like that. She will never be a normal bird again, and that is all right. 5. A foreign body, orange baler twine, fencing wire, a screw off the workshop bench, a strip of netting. Twine is the killer on a farm, and I have lost a bird to it, and it was my own fault for leaving a length of it lying at the back of the byre where a hen could get at it. She swallows one end, it will not pass, and it does damage the whole way down. If the crop is hard and you know there is twine or wire about the place, do not massage her and do not give her oil. Telephone call number 3, and it is the urgent one. That is the blockage group. Now the second group, and this is the one I would most like you to sit through, because these birds are not ill at all. They are prevented. Something about your setup is stopping this hen from eating, and she is starving in the middle of plenty. 6. Bullying. Stand at the door at first light with a cup of tea and watch for 10 minutes, which nobody ever does. You will see it inside too. One bird comes forward to the trough. The big brown one lifts her head, takes 2 steps, and drives her off with her beak. The bottom bird retreats to the fence line. She waits. She tries again from the other end. She gets driven off again, and she goes and stands at the edge of the run and does not come back. That is the pecking order, and it is not a metaphor. It is a real hierarchy enforced with a beak. In June, being last is survivable, because there are 17 hours of daylight and endless chances to come back. In December, there are 7 hours of light, and last means never. She loses condition slowly. Her face goes pale. The fix costs almost nothing. More feeders, not bigger ones. 3 small feeders in 3 different places beats 1 long trough every time, because a bully cannot stand in 3 places at once. Put one right round the corner of the coop, out of the line of sight of the others. Years back I had a wee brown bird my wife named against my advice, and she was bottom of the order and fading, and I put a second trough behind the byre wall where the big ones never thought to look. 3 weeks later, she was the fattest bird on the place. Nothing else changed. 7. The feeder itself. Wrong height is the usual one. A feeder wants to be at about the height of the bird's own back. Too low, and it fills with droppings and scratched dirt, and she will not put her head in it. Too high, and she cannot get a proper beakful and gives up. And the modern one. Treadle feeders, the kind with a metal step plate at the front that lifts the lid when a bird stands on it, are excellent for keeping rats out, and some birds take a fortnight to work them out. A young one or a timid one may never make the connection at all, and she will stand beside a full feeder with the lid shut and starve. If you have put one of those in within the last month, prop the lid open with a stick for 2 weeks and let them learn it standing open first. 8. Water. No water means no feed, within hours, not days. A hen who cannot drink stops eating almost immediately, and she will go down from want of water far faster than from want of food. Go and look at your drinker properly. The classic one is a nipple frozen solid, while the body of the drinker is still liquid, which happens constantly and looks perfectly fine from 10 feet away. Or the water green with algae after a warm week, or a shallow dish with droppings floating in it. Or a drinker that is simply too far away in bad weather, because a hen will not walk 30 yards across an open yard in horizontal rain off the sea, and if that is the only water, she does not drink. 1 drinker per 6 birds, more than 1 place, and in frost, out twice a day with a kettle of warm water, morning and afternoon, and lift the ice out rather than pouring on top of it. 9. Spoiled feed or a sudden change. Open the bag and put your face right down into it. It should smell sweet and dusty and grainy and of not much at all. If it smells musty or sharp or like a damp cellar, or you can see a grey bloom on the pellets near the bottom of the bag, that is your answer. Feed goes off. Layers pellets that have taken damp in a shed will grow mould, and often you cannot see it, and the smell is faint, and a hen's judgment about it is far better than yours. She will walk up to the trough, look at it, and walk away. And she will do that for 4 days and lose condition rather than eat something that smells wrong to her. That bag goes on the fire, not to the pigs. And the other half of this. Never change feed suddenly. Going from one brand to another, or from growers to layers, mix them. A quarter new for 2 days, then half, then 3/4, over about a week. A flock given a full change overnight will sulk for 2 days, and a nervous bird will sulk for 4. 10. Heat. I know, Scotland. But it happens, and it happens in a building rather than in a field. 3 still days in July, a coop with a black tin roof and 1 small window, and the air inside that shed is 15 degrees hotter than the air outside it. A hen cannot sweat. She sheds heat through her comb and her wattles, and when she is in trouble she stands with her beak open, panting, wings held out from her sides like a small held-open coat, comb gone from red to pale pink, not moving. And she stops eating because digesting food makes more heat. Get her out into shade, cool water in front of her, and cut a second vent up high in that coop before next summer, up above the height of the birds on the perch, because ventilation is not draught. 11. Broody. She is not ill. She is sitting. Go and look in the nest box. She is flat down in the straw, feathers puffed out until she is twice her width, filling the whole box. When you put your hand near her, she flattens further and makes a low growl at you like a small angry kettle and pecks the back of your hand. Underneath her, when you lift her, there is a bare patch of pink skin on her breast where she has pulled the feathers out herself. A broody comes off the nest once a day, eats fast, drinks, passes 1 enormous fowl dropping, and goes straight back. If you are looking at the wrong 20 minutes, you will never once see her eat, and you will think she is dying. Lift her off once a day, and set her in front of food and water so she does not overdo it. If you do not want her sitting, put her in a wire-bottomed crate raised off the ground for 3 days so the air gets underneath her, and she will come out of it. 12. The moult. Every autumn, and it looks like a catastrophe in your run. Feathers everywhere, drifted up against the fence, blowing across the yard. The bird half balled down the neck with grey pin feathers pushing through the skin like quills, hunched, miserable, laying stopped dead a fortnight ago. She is growing an entire new coat, and feathers are almost pure protein, so she needs more protein and wants less feed, which is a poor arrangement, but there it is. She will look worse than any genuinely sick bird on this list, and she is fine. Raise the protein for 6 weeks, a scatter of sunflower hearts or a higher protein feed, and leave her be otherwise, and do not handle her more than you have to, because those new pin feathers have a blood supply in them, and they hurt. 13. She has been moved or frightened. A hen who came home in a cardboard box last Tuesday may not eat properly for 2 days, and that is not a disease. New birds, a new coop, a fox at the wire in the night, and feathers on the ground in the morning, a dog through the run, a buzzard sitting on the fence post at the top of the field. 48 hours off feed after a rehoming is ordinary, and it needs nothing from you but quiet and the feed she is used to. Ask whoever you got her from what she was eating. Feed her exactly that for a fortnight, and change her over slowly the way I said. That is the prevented group. If you have been through those 8 and found nothing, then she is genuinely ill, and we are into the 3rd group. 14. Red mite. The great invisible one. If you take one thing from this whole video other than the crop check, take this. Red mite do not live on the bird. They live in the coop, in the cracks between boards, in the joint where the perch end sits in its bracket, under the lip of the nest box, in the felt of the roof. They come out at night in the dark, feed on her while she roosts, and are back inside the wood before dawn. You can stand in that coop at midday, looking straight at 10,000 of them, and see nothing at all. A bird drained every night goes anemic. Her comb goes from red to pink to almost white, and her face with it. She is off her feed, and she is reluctant to go into the coop at dusk, and that is the great tell, because a hen standing outside at last light, refusing to go up to bed, is telling you her bed is full of something. In a bad infestation, she is simply dead one morning under the perch with no other warning. How to check? After dark, torch in hand, look along the underside of the perch and into the bracket at each end, or run a folded piece of white kitchen roll along that underside and then look at it in the light. If it comes back with red smears across it, that is your own hen's blood, and you have red mite. What to do? Everything out. Scrub the coop with hot water and a stiff brush right into every joint. Let it dry out completely. Then diatomaceous earth worked into every crack or a licensed poultry mite product, and repeat in 7 days, and again 7 days after that, because you are killing the hatch as well as the living ones. In a bad summer, you will be doing it every week for a month. This is all yours to handle, and it is worth more than any tonic ever sold. 15. Worms. The picture is a slow decline. She is eating, or picking at it, and losing weight anyway. Pale comb, loose droppings under the perch in the morning, a dull, sunken look about the eye, and the feathers lose their shine and go dry looking. Roundworm, hairworm, keekle worm. A hen on grass that has held hens for years is picking up worm eggs with every mouthful. Gapeworm is the different one, and you cannot mistake it. The worm lives in her windpipe, and she stands with her neck stretched straight up and her beak wide open, gasping at the sky, shaking her head hard sideways as if to throw something out. That is not a chest infection. That is a worm, and it is horrible to watch. Worm the flock twice a year, spring and autumn, with a licensed poultry wormer, with a proper egg withdrawal printed on the packet. Move the ground where you can. Herbal wormers are pleasant things, and there is no good evidence they clear a burden. And I would rather tell you that than sell you a comfortable idea. 16. Coccidiosis. This is the one that kills young birds, and it kills them fast. Go and look at your growers. They are stood in a huddle in the corner of the shed, pressed against each other, fluffed up into balls with their eyes shut, not moving, not eating, and in the litter underneath them there is a dropping with blood in it or a rusty brown mucus. It is a gut parasite. It thrives in warm, damp bedding, and it goes through a batch of chicks like fire through dry heather. You can go from a bird looking slightly quiet to a dead bird in a day and a half. If you have got stock under about 16 weeks and you see blood in a dropping, you are not managing that over a fortnight with clean bedding. It needs treating now, and it is worth ringing the practice the same day, even if you do nothing else in this whole video, because the treatment is cheap and the alternative is losing the batch. Prevention is dry litter, changed often, and drinkers that do not spill. Wet bedding is the entire disease. 17. Egg-bound. An egg is stuck, and hours matter here, not days. She is out of the nest box and back in it and out again, over and over, with nothing to show for it. She walks in a strange upright stance like a penguin, with her tail pointing at the ground and her legs set wide. She is straining, and you can see it. Sometimes you can feel the egg low down in the abdomen with a very gentle hand. What you do: warmth, moisture, and quiet. A dark box somewhere warm, or 20 minutes, standing her in a basin of warm water up to her belly, which relaxes everything. A little olive oil around the vent. Calcium to help the muscle contract, so a crushed calcium tablet or a spoonful of live yogurt. Then dark and quiet, and leave her an hour. Do not put your fingers inside her, and never try to break the egg. If you break it in there, the shell fragments cut her, and she dies of the infection instead. If 2 hours of warmth and quiet have not produced an egg, that is a vet, and it is urgent. 18. Internal laying and egg yolk, peritonitis. The hard one. She stands upright like a penguin, same as the egg-bound bird, but her abdomen is swollen and it feels hot and firm, or full of fluid like a hot water bottle, and her belly is low and wide between her legs. Her comb has gone pale and dry and it flops. She was laying beautifully 3 weeks ago and then stopped. The high-production hybrids that most back garden flocks are made of are bred to lay 300 eggs a year, and their bodies were not built for it. Sometimes the yolk misses the oviduct and drops loose into the abdomen instead, and it goes bad in there. This is a vet, and I will be straight with you about what the conversation will be. Some cases are managed with drainage and antibiotics, and some birds come back for a season. Many do not. A 3-year-old hybrid with a belly full of yolk is often at the end of her road, and the kindest thing is the quickest thing. That is a real conversation to have with a real vet, and it is one of the times the call-out is worth every penny, because that decision should not be made by a man on the internet, and it should not be made by you alone at 11 o'clock at night. 19. Respiratory infection. Look at her face. There is froth or a bubble in the corner of one eye, which is the classic mycoplasma sign, and once you have seen it, you never mistake it. The face may be swollen on one side. There is a wet discharge at the nostril. Hold her up against your ear and you can hear a rattle or a click in her chest as she breathes. A bird who cannot breathe comfortably will not eat. This is a vet. Because respiratory disease in poultry needs identifying, the treatment is prescription only, and because it will travel through the whole flock, isolate her immediately, and warmth and quiet in the meantime. 20. She is old, or it is something you cannot fix. Run a finger down the middle of her breast. If the keel bone is a sharp ridge standing up with nothing on either side of it, like the blade of an oar, that bird is wasted, and she has been going down quietly for weeks. Marek's disease, tumours, liver failure, or a hen who has simply come to the end of it. I am not going to dress this up. Keeping animals means deciding when to stop. If she is sharp over the keel, off her feed, and a fortnight of proper care has not turned her, then the question is no longer what is wrong with her. The question is whether she is suffering. And if she is, then the kindest hands are the ones that do not hesitate. Learn to do it properly, or have somebody near you who can. That is part of the job, and anybody who tells you otherwise has never kept anything. Now, before I show you the box, there is one thing that sits outside that list of 20, and it does not belong on a list at all. If you have several birds down at once, if they have all gone off their feed together over a day or two, and there are swollen heads, or the combs and wattles have gone blue or purple, or you have had sudden deaths with nothing leading up to them, or birds twisting their necks round and losing their balance and falling over, then you stop. Avian influenza and Newcastle disease are notifiable in this country. That is a legal duty, and it is not a matter of your judgment. You do not treat it at home, you do not ask a forum, and you do not wait until the morning. You telephone the Animal and Plant Health Agency, and in Scotland you go through your local field services office, and you keep every bird exactly where it is until you are told otherwise. Look up the current number rather than trusting one off a video. Several birds at once, fast, is a different animal altogether from one bird standing in a corner. Know the difference. Right. Here is the part that is in none of the other videos about this. And it is the part that actually saves birds. Because everybody will tell you what is wrong, and nobody tells you what to do with her tonight. The hospital box. Whatever is wrong with her, she gets the same 3 things first. And warmth comes before food. A sick hen's temperature drops, and a cold hen cannot digest anything you put in her. Feed a cold bird and it sits in her crop doing nothing. So, a cardboard box, or an old dog crate, or a rabbit hutch. Line the bottom with a clean Hessian feed sack and an old towel folded over. Somewhere dim, quiet, out of the wind, and warm, which for a hen is about 25 degrees. The back porch. A corner of the utility room, a shed with a heat lamp, properly guarded, and hung well clear of anything that burns. Dim matters as much as warm, because a bird sitting in the dark is a bird not burning energy on being frightened. Give her a full hour of warmth and quiet, with nothing but water in front of her. Then fluids before solids. Water first, with a pinch of sugar or a little honey stirred through it, or a poultry electrolyte sachet, if you have one. If she will not drink on her own, use a plastic syringe with the plunger and no needle, a few drops at a time, at the side of the beak, and let her swallow it herself. Never squirt it down her throat, and never tip her head back. It goes into her airway, and you will drown her. Slow, at the side, and she does the swallowing. Then the mash. And this is the thing my grandmother made and I have never found better in 50 years. Chick crumb. Warm water. Mixed to the texture of thick porridge, warm and not hot, in a saucer. That is the whole recipe. Chick crumb because it is higher in protein and it is already ground fine, so it needs almost nothing from a gizzard that may not be working. Not layers pellets. A starved bird cannot deal with a layers pellet, and the calcium in it is wrong for a hen who is not laying anyway. If she will not take it off the saucer, put a little on the end of your finger and touch it to the side of her beak. Do not force it in. A bird who gets the taste of it will nearly always start on her own. 2 spoonfuls at a time, 4 or 5 times a day, beats a full bowl once. A crop that has been empty for 2 days should not be filled to bursting. And the second thing, which costs you nothing at all because it is already in your kitchen, weigh her. Kitchen scales on the worktop, a mixing bowl on top of them, and the hen sat in the bowl. Write the number on the side of the cardboard box in pencil, with the date beside it. Then weigh her every morning at the same time and write the new number underneath. Here is why. A hen is mostly feathers to look at. She can lose 15% of her body weight, and your eye will not catch it. And by the time you can see it, she is very far down indeed. The scales see it on day 2. A bird holding her weight is a bird you are winning with, even if she looks wretched. A bird dropping 30 or 40 grams a day is a bird you need to escalate on today. That pencil line on the box is the difference between ringing a vet on the Wednesday and ringing one on the Saturday when there is nobody there. Nobody does this. It takes 90 seconds. After the crop check, it is the single most useful thing in this video, and it is a set of kitchen scales you already own. And the third part, which is where most people undo all their good work, putting her back. A hen who has been out of the flock a week comes back a stranger, and hens are savage with strangers. Put her straight back into the run in daylight, and there is a real chance they set on her, and she ends up worse than she started. Wire between them for 3 days first. A crate or a small pen inside the run, where they can all see her and none of them can reach her. Then put her back after dark, torch in your teeth, in through the door, and set her up on the perch in the middle of them when they are asleep and stupid with it. She wakes up on that perch in the morning with the rest of them, and as far as they are concerned, she never left. Never at dawn. Never in the middle of the day into a yard full of wide-awake birds. And throw a scatter of corn on the ground when you open up next morning, because a flock with 14 heads down hunting for grain is a flock too busy to start a fight. Now, on the matter of money, nobody has paid me for any of this. There is nothing in the description to buy. I do not sell feed, I do not sell grit, I do not sell a course. There is no website with my name on it, and I would be no better off if every one of you went out tomorrow and bought a bag of something. I mention it because you will have noticed that nearly everything in this video is either free or costs about £4. Flint grit, £4. A second feeder, 6. Kitchen scales you already own. A cardboard box. A kettle of warm water. Chick crumb you had in the shed anyway. There is no business in any of that, which is precisely why nobody has told you. And here is the wider thing, and it is the reason I bother making these at all. The knowledge in this video used to be ordinary. My grandmother could have given you all 20 of these standing at the sink with her back to you and her hands in the water. Every second house had hens, and every one of those houses had somebody in it who could read a bird. That was not expertise. That was general knowledge, the same as knowing to put a coat on. 2 generations later, keeping hens has come back, and the knowledge has not come back with it. There are more back garden flocks in this country now than at any time since the war, and the people keeping them were never taught one word of this, through no fault of their own, because the chain broke. So they buy a flat-pack coop and 6 hens and a bag of pellets, and when a bird goes quiet in the corner of the run, there is nobody left in the family to ask. And into that gap has come a trade. Tonics, powders, boosts, supplements, for deficiencies that a bag of stones and a second feeder would have fixed. £19 for a plastic tub with a hen on the label, sold to somebody whose actual problem is that the bottom bird cannot get to the trough in December. I am not angry at the vets. The good ones earn their fee, and I have told you 3 times tonight when to lift the telephone. I am angry that somebody who only wanted to keep 6 hens well has to pay a stranger to be told what everybody used to know. So, this is what you do tonight, and it is 5 things. Go out at dusk with a torch and feel the crop on every bird you are worried about. Full and firm is good. Go back out first thing, before you feed, and feel the same crops again. Empty is good. Still full is a blockage, and you start with oil and massage, and water only, and you never turn her upside down. Get insoluble flint grit, in its own dish. Free choice, this week. Oyster shell is not grit. Count your feeders and your drinkers, 1 of each per 6 birds, in more than one place, and one of them right round the corner out of sight. And tonight, after dark, Take that torch and run a folded piece of white kitchen roll along the underside of the perch. If it comes back red, you have found your answer, and it was in the woodwork the whole time. Tell me in the comments where you are keeping hens and how many you have got, and tell me one thing that has gone wrong in your flock that you never got an explanation for. I read them. I read every one of them. Somebody under the last video told me about a bird that would not go into the coop at night, and nobody could tell her why, and that is red mite, and I hope she saw the answer. Next time I am going to show you how to read a hen 3 days before she goes down. Not the crop, something else. It is in the way she stands, and it is in one thing she does with her feet that you have looked straight at 1,000 times and never once registered, and once you have seen it, you cannot stop seeing it. My grandfather could walk the length of a run and tell you which bird would be in trouble by the weekend, and he was not guessing until then. Feel the crop, buy the grit, check the perches,